Can Manchester United fight for the Premier League title in 2026-27 season of the Premier League? That is the real question running around everyone's minds, because they look like a really good squad at first glance, and they have had the momentum coming with them, with Michael Carrick coming into their squad within last season. But now it's whether they can hold momentum and keep pushing forward and keep adapting to what teams will fight against them. That's the real killer here. Manchester United need to show under Michael Carrick that they can fight for this and have completely changed their mentality to become vies for the title. They will have to fight against Arsenal if they want to do that, and that's a really incredibly difficult battle. But forever in the Premier League, it is all uphill from here. So who knows? After the break, I'll run through the transfers that have occurred, how they will change how Manchester United play, and how they will make them better or worse, plus what they have to do next after that. Manchester United have been relatively busy within the summer transfer window, as most teams have been. This is a big change within the Premier League, and for Manchester United, it is now time for them to bring in who Michael Carrick wants most and be able to implement his system in a more deeper way. Now, first, I would like to say things within the transfer window have been mostly become because of their outgoings, and they haven't been hugely busy bringing in many players. And I think there is a lot more to come within the rest of this transfer window, which is exciting, but it's also daunting considering the fact that a lot of transfers can go pear-shaped when they are pushed really late within the window. But who knows how it goes here for Manchester United. It's looking good so far. Their squad at first glance looks really good. And they have made some good additions of Andre Santos and Yuri Tielemans. Now, so what Santos is going to bring to this Manchester United side is he's going to be a very good passing midfielder from deep areas, and he is quite a moving sort of player. He's not hugely defensive, but he's going to produce a bit of a role that Casemiro brought to the side, while Yuri Tielemans will be more of a forward-thinking player, I would say. But they are relatively similar players, Santos and Tielemans. So it could be interesting how Carrick decides to use them. Maybe one plays rotational and the other starts. We do not know yet his plans, but those two bring first Yuri Tielemans with the Premier League experience, and Andros Santos he brings Premier League experience as well, but he's also a young body and he's got a lot ahead of him. So it could be an interesting era ahead of us for these players at Manchester United, and they add a significant amount to United's midfield. Now, this is considering the fact that they've had quite a few players leave, including Casemiro on a free transfer. That's a big loss for them. He has produced a lot within United, so that's an interesting departure, and it'll be quite interesting to see whether that physicality can be replicated furthermore this season. While Haaland has left. He'd already been kind of kicked out of the side, which is the same for Andre Onana, plus Sancho and Malaysia. But those are the big exits for Manchester United, and I'm expecting more. This is actually quite a deep side, and it's going to need to be have that depth for the Champions League. But I expect there will still need to be money coming in for players leaving, and that's really where they need to look to. But soon I will be back with how they will set up and play, plus my predicted starting 11 for most of the season for Michael Carrick. Manchester United set up with most likely a 4-2-3-1 under Carrick, and we saw that last season. He brings in a bit more of that, what the fans want. He's not really dependent on one style that Amorim brought in, and I think that was the change Manchester United fans wanted. But that could hurt him on the other side of that. If he does think and do what fans want, it could hurt him on the other side, that teams work him out too easily, and he's not tactically astute with his teams enough for the Premier League. But we saw last season, he really did have his side playing with a much better mentality, I believe. And that's where the system just is quite a positive system. It brings out the best of all of the players within the side. And the focal point, I'd like to say, is Bruno Fernandes at centre attacking midfield. He was so key later in the season and has been so key for Manchester United over the past few seasons, because he is their nearly sole creator and has dragged them along. Where would they be without him? And that's why he needs to be the key figure within this team. Carrick hasn't brought in too many big ego players, but he's made it and has quite a balanced lineup and squad. And I've predicted this is how they are going to line up under Carrick. Lomans was really good at the end of last season, so he should start at goalkeeper. He's a young player and was thrown into that starting role for United early on under Amorim. But now that he has been kind of warmed into this positive mindset, I think, under Carrick, he's allowed into that first team as goalkeeper starting, and then Bayindir is a really good option off as a substitute, and he has actually played really well as well, Bayindir. So they've got some good goalkeeper talent, maybe not world class, but it's there, and I like how that's sort of how Manchester United roll nearly all over the park. They aren't incredible everywhere, but they are balanced. That is perfect for a side that wants to challenge for a title or go far in the Premier League and Champions League. And they've got depth as well. It's kind of the perfect combination. In the defensive line, Luke Shaw has been good. He'll be their left back most likely. And then the centre back pairing, I don't know where they will go with this, but Lisandro Martinez was incredible at the World Cup. His work for Argentina was so key to making the final, and that's where he is going to be a big player for Manchester United this season, if he can stay away from injuries. Then we have Harry Maguire. I think his experience there is so key. But you've also got options of Matthias de Ligt, and Lenny Euro and Aiden Heaven. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if one of those guys left, because they're not all going to get starting roles. You can't within this Manchester United team. But there's a lot of depth there, and they can use those players rotating within the European and Premier League games. Then at right back, I have Mazraoui. He's a really exciting player, playing at the right back spot. There could be a bit of lack of depth around those fullback positions. Diogo Dalot and Dorgu can play those positions, but they could strengthen them as well. But moving forward, in midfield, now this is where it gets interesting. I want to talk about how they rotate these defensive midfielder positions. There's possibly another transferred in to come for these positions, because we know Bruno Fernandes is going to go cam as an attacking midfielder, because that's where Carrick wants him, and that's where he plays the best. He didn't actually have a great World Cup for Portugal, but it seems he does really well under this Carrick system, so he's going to be key. But looking backward, defensively, they could miss Casemiro. That's why they have brought in Andres Santos and Tielemans, and I think those two will switch around for that position beside Mainu. Kobe Mainu is incredible. He's such a good player, and it's still so young. He will likely start most games, and then Tielemans and Santos. I picked Tielemans here to sit alongside him. Now they've also got Manuel Ugarte, who plays defensive midfield roles. It's going to be interesting though how they rotate these, but it's already looking like they've got depth in nearly every area of the pitch. Moving forward, this is possibly where they have the least depth, is the wingers and the striker forwards. Now, I put Cunha left wing, Mbeumo right wing or right midfield, and Sesko up front. Sesko, he actually thrived under Carrick as well. Most of these players did, but he did especially, and it could be interesting to see whether they do try to find another striker instead of him, or whether he is enough. We know Mbeumo and Cunha can also play that striker role, so that's where the fluidity of Carrick's forward line is going to be so interesting, how he works that out. Amad Diallo is also a player, and Xerxes, who can come off the bench and impact games. Diallo was incredible at the World Cup, impacting matches for his side. Mbeumo off the right, I think that's where he's going to fit in, but he could also take Sesko's place. I like him. I've really liked him for Manchester United. And Cunha, I think he's still waiting to really thrive. And I think this could be the season for him. The other player I just want to mention now is Marcus Rashford. Does he fit in to this United side? He's been actually really good in the last season or 2 seasons, or season at least, for Barcelona and England. And it'll be interesting to see whether they do accept him into this United side, or whether he does just get sent away. It could be a good money finder for them, but I don't think he fits in straight away. Cunha is better than him, I would say, and it's kind of tough to fit him in around. Maybe he is the player that plays the Champions League matches. That's possibly a position for him. But looking at this United side overall, it's actually really strong, and I'm excited for them. This could be an interesting season. Interesting to see whether they cope with the Champions League, but also interesting to see how far they can push other teams and whether they can keep the momentum moving forward. After the last break, I will talk about what is next and my predictions for where they will finish and where they are aiming for. Well, I don't think that Manchester United have that many transfers left needed, but they still, I believe, will be busy. There may be interest for one of their attackers and possibly one of their defenders, especially the likes of Rashford and maybe De Ligt or someone like that. It could be interesting because they will likely accept any good bids for them. They need the money, and they've already got quite a lot of depth in those areas. I think they still have one or two more transfers left in them, but they've got the job done early, and it's actually looking a really strong side. When we looked at Manchester United earlier, when they were really struggling last year, it looked as though they needed huge change, and it looked as though there was so much that needed to come in. But the transfer window last summer really did all they needed to do. There isn't much that needs to be added for Michael Carrick. It's more just the mentality that he brings that has changed them. That's why next for them is hammering down what Michael Carrick has already done, but also being able to adapt to what other teams bring and being able to adapt to struggles that they will face within the season. It's going to be a really interesting season for them. And that is why I have produced some interesting predictions for them for the Premier League season of 2026 and 2027. Their goal, I think, for this season is to challenge for the title, and that's not hidden. Some of their players have come out and said that they are wanting to win this title, and they are for sure shots at going for it. I certainly think they can, but it really depends on what team Arsenal come out as and what team United do come out as, especially early on, to build confidence and momentum over time. They should be aiming for the title this season. That's as simple as it comes. The door is open for so many Premier League teams this season, so that if they take it by storm, they really have a shot at winning. The only team really that seems in the way at the moment is Arsenal, and we know why. The rest of the teams, new managers, new system, and time to implement everything into them. That means Manchester United, who have brought in Michael Carrick, already have a head start on them. And why would you change anything now when it is going so well? I predict that Manchester United will finish second in the Premier League this season. This is because they actually look a really solid side as I look at them. And we have to think about and take into account the issues they have had in the past little while just with the mentality and the struggles they have faced. But this seems different. Under Amorim, they seem to actually be looking sort of positive over time. And when they suddenly changed to Carrick, it suddenly refreshed them. And I think it was the system that they played that was holding them back slightly. Now they have a bit more freedom and a bit more excitement to their game. This could be the season for Manchester United. It's just the fact that Arsenal really are world class that I think they will not win the title. But they are going to go far. And that's for sure. That's why you have to watch in this season. There is so much to look out for. New players, new teams, new managers, new Manchester United in 2026-27. Look out for more of my videos. Thank you for watching.